Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all doing well. It is Christmas Eve tonight, so I figured I would do something really special and take a super rare box. By rare, I mean 1988 Donruss, which is probably one of the most common junk wax era boxes you can come across. I bought a couple of these probably early summer for like $10 off of a seller at a card show, and decided to grab the one that was in the worst shape. This one had some tape, it was taped shut, so I went and I cut the tape before filming this because I figured it'd be a lot easier than bumbling around and trying to get it open. But I did open it, and I was surprised to find something inside this box. And I swear I did not set this up, but it had some cards inside it. And I don't know if these were put in there by the seller and they just kind of slipped in the side, or whether they'd been there for 30 years or what. But it had a 1954 Topps Ted Kluszewski. Not the best centering, but kind of a cool card. And I did not look in this yet, but it had a little bag full of cards, which it looks like it's got an 88 Topps and an 88 Donruss on the top. And it looks like it's got Gary Thurman and more Gary Thurmans from 88 Donruss, as well as Roberto Alomar. So I don't know. I mean, this looks like something that someone would put aside in the 80s rather than nowadays, as these are not really the priciest cards. But I don't know why that had those in there. So interesting to find that. I guess if you buy boxes that are taped shut, they may have things inside them. So without further ado, let's start into this. This was a set that I know is not really a fan favorite, but I've always kind of liked this set. The other thing about it is that I always felt like the paper stock on these was really cheap, and they tend to get dinged up a lot more than a lot of other cards. Like all my Donruss from 88 were in super horrible shape, so it might be fun to get some that actually are pack fresh. There's no big cards in this set, but obviously we're looking for Hall of Famers, some key rookies. I think there's like Mark Grace or Greg Jeffries, but not a whole lot. And of course, looking for Detroit Tigers. So let's get into it and see what we've got here. Pack number 1. Puzzle piece, and I believe it was Warren Spahn. I can't remember who it was for this. I probably should have done some homework before opening this, but we got an MVP of Pedro Guerrero, Eric Bell. There's Tim Raines. So starting off with some good players. Johnny Ray is a big TTM signer. Robin Yount. These are really off-centered, some of these. Some cool Hall of Famers in that one. And opening up pack 2. Make sure I do it on camera so that I'm not getting accused of switching in good cards. Not that there are good cards, but pack 2. Mike Boddicker, Darnell Coles. I remember when he was on the Tigers. John Moses, Willie McGee, Ellis Burks. He signs through the mail, but I think you have to do it through Pass Pros or one of those. Jamie Quirk, Willie Upshaw, Bob Nepper, Shane Raleigh. I was actually hoping for this card because he signs through the mail as well, and I wanted to get his Diamond King signed, so that's a cool one. Jack Clark. These seem like they're really off-centered, a lot of them, the top, bottom. I didn't realize centering was such an issue with 88 Donruss. Let's check the next pack. Kevin Elster, I believe he signs through the mail too. Walt Terrell. Steve Sachs. Andy Van Slyke, he signs through the mail. He charges $5. That might be a good one to get signed by him. Next pack. There's something just fun about opening up old wax from the 80s. It kind of brings back memories. Frank Tanana. Tim Flannery signs as well. Fred McGriff. Steve Bedrosian. Mike Duvereau. There's Andy Van Slyke's normal card. That actually looks better than his Diamond King. Mark Langston. Steve Lake. George. Ooh, there's one of my favorites, Oil Can Boyd. And that's one of my primary reasons for opening this, is to find more fodder to get signed by players who sign through the mail more than anything. Gary Carter, Tommy John. He signs, but he charges quite a bit. Wow, these are really off-centered. A lot of them are. Mark Thurmond. He signs too, but I think he only signs one card, so if you ever send to him, only send one card. There's another Andy Van Slyke Diamond King. Darryl Strawberry. Again, it seems like all the best cards are like super off-center. Like, look at the bottom edge on that. Crazy. Oh, there's Sweet Lou Whitaker. Again, all the best cards, all my favorite ones are way off-center. Kent Colvey. That guy had a weird, he was like made of rubber or something. His arm, the way it bent when he was pitching was just crazy. Greg Maddux, sorry. Larry Sheets. Oops. Greg Maddux is a pretty good one. Dan Petrie, he signs through the mail as well. He charges $10. Harold Baines. Mike Scott, MVP. Candy Maldonado. Ooh, there we go. Very off-centered, but there's Roger Clemens. Seems like this whole box is like, all the commons are, the centering's fine, but every star, it's like the centering is just way off. Dave Stieb. Jose Lind. He lives in Puerto Rico and signs through the mail. Jeff Treadway. Atlee Hammaker. I've had stuff out to him since like June or July that has not come back yet. Kind of given up on him, but who knows, it may turn up. Oh, there we go. Paul Molitor. Jerry Don Gleaton. There's Greg Jeffries. Mike Scott, Storm Davis. Mike Schmidt. Yeah, the centering on this box is really off. I guess I won't be grading any of the stars out of this. Not that I would anyway, but they're way off-centered. Hubie Brooks, Brent Smith. Tony Gwynn, there you go. Todd Stottlemyre, Manny Trio, Oda B. McDowell, Paul Molitor, Sid Fernandez. I think nearly everyone that I've gone through in this pack signs through the mail. Sid Fernandez just started charging $20 to get his signature. He got overwhelmed. People were sending him way too many cards. And I got in just before he started charging, but I think that was his way of kind of saying that he was getting inundated. And now you have to do it through some third party. Ken Griffey Sr., Dwight Gooden, Mike Henneman. That was a pretty good pack. Vince Coleman. Sammy Stewart, that is quite a unibrow. He's passed away. Rance Mulliniks, Dennis Martinez, Rick Jacoby. Frank Viola, he signs through the mail. Mike Schmidt, MVP. Doyle Alexander. Fernando Valenzuela. Wow, that's a card of him batting. You don't see him batting too often on cards. Andre Galarraga. There we go. Alan Trammell, Diamond King. Very happy to get that. Oh, and I remember this card, the Ripken Baseball Family. Cool card. I don't know why this set has so much hate. I've always kind of liked it. The borders are kind of ugly, but they kind of remind me of those like weird backgrounds that they had on school photos when we were kids in the 80s. That had like the laser beams and stuff. I don't know why they remind me of that, but they kind of do. Darrell Evans, great first baseman for the Tigers. Jody Davis, Tony Fernandez, Billy Ripken. Mike Campbell, Jody Reed. Frank White, Bob Stanley, Dennis Rasmussen, Bob Welch, Danny Tartabell, Greg Maddux again, Don Sutton. Well, he's pretty old at that point. Larry Sheets, Mookie Wilson, Tom Hankey, Danny Darwin, Fredo Griffin, Dave Righetti, and Steve Schultz. Tom Nieto, Jeff Stone, Benito Santiago, Kevin Mitchell, Gary Thurman, to add to the other Gary Thurmans that were in that bag in the front of the box. Kurt Stillwell, Eric Davis. You know, for $10, this is kind of a lot of fun to open up. Compared to what you pay for like modern cards, I would rather open up a box of 88 Donruss any day. It may not be worth as much, but it's a lot more fun. And you get a lot more packs too. George Brett, there you go. That's a nice one. Gary Gaetti, Bo Diaz, Mark Gubiza, Terry Kennedy, Mickey Tuttleton. Wow, he's got a cheek full of chewing tobacco in that one. Or maybe it was Big League Chew. Who knows? Carney Lansford. George Bell. Danny Glenn. Lance Parrish. Oral Hershiser. Again, another pitcher that's batting. Garth Eorg. Greg Brock, Will Clark, there you go. Burt Blyleven. Zane Smith is a big TTM signer. Don Carmen, Will Clark. Do we have two Will Clarks in a single pack? That's cool. Double Will Clark. Mike Heath. Jimmy Key. Move these aside and start another stack. Alejandro Pena, he signs through the mail as well. Jack Hall, there's Gary Carter again. Ken Oberkville, Al Leiter, Willie Hernandez passed away, unfortunately. And he changed his name to Guillermo Hernandez. I kind of remember in the 80s that him and his son had the same name, Willie Hernandez, and his son was going by Guillermo and he was going by Willie. And his son was getting teased or something at school and wanted to go by Willie, so then Willie started changing his name to Guillermo at that point, and they kind of traded versions of their name. Scott Fletcher, Mike Bilecki, Mark Thurmond again. This is a fun set. Ken Herbeck, Jay Howell, Kurt Ford, Tony Gwynn MVP, Kirby Puckett. That's a good one. Sid Bream. Oh, it's Stan Musial, I think, was the puzzle for this set. Jim Rice. This is very similar to another pack. I wonder if it was collated kind of the same way due to the sheet. I wonder if I can make the whole puzzle at the end. Billy Hatcher, Todd Worrell, Cal Ripken. That's cool. Dan Quisenberry, Mike Greenwell, just passed away this year, unfortunately. Julio Franco, he always had the coolest batting stance. Like he always held his bat like super high. Steve Belboni. I think it was like the 85 World Series that Steve Belboni was the Royals were in, and quite a key part of, if I remember correctly. Rich Gedman. Chet Lemon, he just passed away this year too, unfortunately. I remember when I was a kid waiting outside of Tiger Stadium and he was driving out in his white Bronco, and I got his autograph on a baseball. When I was a kid, I was there waiting with my grandfather, who's passed away as well, but was able to get his signature at that point. Ed Whitson, Cecil Fielder on the Blue Jays, unfortunately, instead of the Tigers. Glenn Hubbard, Ozzie Smith. Ooh, there's some weird gunk. Oh, I guess it rubbed right off. Floyd Yeomans, Checklist, Bill Wagman, Eric Davis, Marvell Wine, which he signs through the mail, I think, too. I should send to him. Mackie Sasser. That one's way, way off-centered. That's crazy. Matt Noakes. Tommy John. Sid Fernandez again. Kurt Stillwell. Andre Dawson. That's awesome. Happy to get that one. Andre Dawson charges $10 to sign things, and I don't think I'm going to get that card signed, though. Dave Stewart. He signs as well. He charges $5 for his. So does Von Hayes. Yeah, it's Stan Musial. Eric Show. Or is it Shao? Dwight Evans. Andre Dawson, there's his Diamond King with a bad corner. Mark McGuire, that's cool. MVP. I still haven't Jim Morrison, but not the Doors Jim Morrison. Juan Samuel. Still haven't gotten the Dale Murphy on the front. Eric Plunk, Ron Darling, Mike Scotia, Bill Buckner, Devon White, Wade Boggs there. That's a good one. Oh, there's a third different kind. I guess Andy Van Slyke has 3 different cards. His MVP, his Diamond King, and his regular base card. Andy Van Slyke is one that I will be sending out within the next month. Tom Brookins is one of my favorite Tigers back in the day. Rafael Palmeiro. I think that's his second year, though. Kevin Bass. Oops. Getting to the last few packs here. I'm sure this is super boring, and if you're still watching this, thanks for continuing to watch it. I'm guessing you probably don't have much going on, because there's probably a lot better things to do than watch me open up 1988 Donruss, but definitely fun. There's Julio Franco. Dave Bergman, I think he passed away too. And Ryan Sandberg, another one who we lost in 2025, unfortunately. Danny Tartable. Barry Bonds, there you go. Nice card. Again, off-centered. Like all the best cards are super off-centered. George Bell. And we're down to the last 5 packs. Jody Davis, Tony Fernandez, Al Leiter, Willie Hernandez, Jim Nelson. I think I've seen all these cards so far. Scott Lusader. Definitely getting a bunch of Tigers, though, which makes me happy. Benito Santiago, Jim Rice, Willie Epsha, Bob Nepper, Bobby Meacham, he signs through the mail. Pete Incaviglia, Cal Ripken. Again, another awesome card, awesome player, but it's super off-centered. In some ways, I would rather have the dinged up cards that are in worse condition with better centering. I'm definitely very critical of centering. Jeff Reardon, Tommy Hearn, down to the last 2 packs. Randy Bush, Jim Lidman, Jerry Brown, Sean Abner, Ted Higuera, Don Robinson, Greg Gagne. Wow, that's a really off-center. That's a weird centering on that one. Ken Caminiti, Ron Guidry. And our last pack. Looks like we've got a Wally Joyner on the back. Charles Hudson, Roberto Alomar, Vincent Palacios, Gary Gaetti. There we go, Nolan Ryan. That's cool for the last pack. Haven't seen him yet. Jay Buhner, Albert Hall, Terry Steinbeck, Jeff Calhoun, Calvin Schirelli. Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce that right. And Wally Joyner to finish us off. So that was my 1988 Donruss box. We didn't get the Dale Murphy from the front of the box, but we got a bunch of other cool cards. Didn't get an Alan Trammell either, which I was kind of hoping for. Other than I think we got the Diamond King, but not his regular card. I think he probably also has an MVP card. But anyway, that was super fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. And if you're still watching this on Christmas, I hope you guys have a lovely Christmas. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.